Shiny Charizard! 10 hours of gaming a day.
This is the Crusade podcast. I am shiny hunting as we speak. My name is EJ Olsen. This is Nick Durheim. We're here to talk about some things today. I can't put my Switch down, Nick. I am addicted.
You're probably going to want to put the Switch down so we can actually record, but you know.
But Nick, the lure's effect wore off. Do I want to use another one? Of course I want to use another one.
Keep using those max lures. You got nothing else to spend your money on except for Ultra Balls.
Every day I have to go fight all the gym leaders to get enough money so that I can go buy more balls and buy more lures and feed this fucking addiction.
And don't forget to hit up the Cerulean Cave so you can pick up some Stardust.
And some golden Raz.
Yeah, you need those Raz.
Dude, I am addicted, like I said, to shiny hunting. I only had to work for a little bit this weekend, so I spent like 10 hours a day on the couch for 2 days, just shiny hunting exclusively.
Yeah, I got a little sneak peek of about an hour and a half's worth of that, and it was impressive.
Buddy.
I'll tell you what, it was like looking at a photo of you for an hour and a half, just lounging on the couch.
Dude, the one thumb revolution with Pokemon Let's Go, I got to just absolutely veg, blanket up over my face, just making things happen. I have not found a shiny since then, so you must be a bad luck charm of some kind. You were the anti-shiny charm, Nick.
Did you not catch any shinies during that chat that we had?
I don't think I did. Let me look. Okay. Let me update the good people with my shiny adventures from this weekend, okay? I need to put my fucking favorite on top.
And the single Joy-Con play, like you're saying, that is very comfortable, very nice. Although, I don't think it's likely that they would do this, but I would hope that they would add the ability to map the B button to the trigger and then just keep the A on the bumper so you can truly not move your thumb off that stick.
Yeah, right.
It's a big bummer. They get both of the buttons on the top as being A buttons, which is nice to A through, but you got to B out sometimes.
It's funny how we complained about the potential for these controls and how, I really still want Pro controller support.
Absolutely.
Make it work exactly the way handheld works because I love the way that works. But I do like the Joy-Con, and I found that catching Pokemon with the Pokeball accessory is infinitely better than the Joy-Con. Moving with the Pokeball sucks. Pressing buttons suck. But actually using it to catch Pokemon, a lot easier, very satisfying. As far as my shiny update, I started off my run, Nick, with 2 blue ducks. I was chasing blue horses, but I got blue ducks instead.
And by that, you mean Farfetch'd or Magmar? What are you talking about there?
Magmar is not a duck. Okay,
dude, look at those lips. That's a bill.
Okay, he may share traits with the mallard. Yes,
he is a duckish foe.
Yeah. I got 2 blue Psyducks, which initially I was fucking pissed about, but then I spent some time with my blue boy, waddling around, grabbing his poor head, dude. Adorable. I fucking have that little guy following me everywhere.
You love your shiny son now.
Dude, he's fucking great.
It's too bad Golduck is not like as cool as a shiny.
Oh, it's just blue. It's just blue.
It should be yellow. It should be Super Saiyan. That'd be so dope.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. Golduck was always worse than Psyduck anyway. Psyduck was an adorable little guy. Misty's Troubled Psyduck. Is that right? From the anime?
I don't remember if that's the episode title. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
it
I just
sounds
mean
like
that's just, it was
okay.
Misty's Troubled Psyduck, right?
Because it seems like an episode title, but usually they go more for like a pun, you know?
Right. I followed up the ducks with a little Rattata, not very happy about it. Pidgey, not very happy about it.
Yeah, basic.
But then I was in a race with my brother who was just grinding. All he got was a sparrow rather, and the Chansey when he was hunting blue horses. He's like, fuck this, I'm going to the power plant and I'm going to grind for, everything in the power plant's cool.
No, really no.
Dude.
I don't like Magnemite and I don't like Voltorb.
Dude, the blue balls? You don't like the blue balls?
I'm just saying like the Pokemon themselves, not the shiny versions.
Oh, the shiny version. I would rock a blue ball. I'm familiar with blue balls.
What's the shiny Magnemite? The gold?
Oh, dude, black and white, dude. Fucking cool.
Black and white?
I would love a shiny Magnemite. That'd be badass. And then the red Electabuzz. So we're in there, and I was like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna come in here." He'd been grinding for hours, and we're on Discord together. And I was like, "Fuck you, dude! I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna catch a shiny right away, dude." 5 minutes later, boom, red Electabuzz, boom, caught his ass, dude. Andrew was
That's
so
pretty dank.
pissed,
Pretty
so
dank.
pissed. Dude. He's so
I'll admit
tight.
it. That weird cat man.
I went on Reddit and I put out a bid, and I was like, "Listen, y'all, I've got X, Y, and Z. I would like to trade for Ponyta or a Carp." Before someone hit me up on there, I actually found my own shiny Carp, which I promptly evolved into my badass red-ass Gyarados, okay? And then I had someone pop on and say, "Hey, I'll trade a duck for the Carp." So I got another Carp. I got 2 shiny Carps now so that I can leverage this as more trade bait. But, Nick, the best shiny I got, fucking Abra. And I am not kidding when I say this was my only Abra encounter my entire playthrough. And it was shiny. Prior to that, because I have my living decks completed. So to get all my Abra, one was from Pokemon Go. I caught a Kadabra. And then my brother traded me the Abra I needed because I had evolved the one I had into a Kadabra. I'd evolved my other Kadabra into Alakazam. And my brother just traded me the Abra so I could complete my living decks. So I ran into 0 the entire game. Whatever. Boom. First one I fucking ran into, he's shiny. I'm in the air. And the thing that's fucked up about Abra is if he sees you, he'll teleport away.
Really, I didn't notice that. I'd caught a
Yeah.
few Abras, and I never just noticed which direction they were facing, because after a while I kind of got over paying attention to that. I was like, oh, there's an Abra, I'll pick him up, whatever.
Because all the Pokemon disappear like that. You aren't phased by Pokemon vanishing in the overworld. But yeah, it's if it sees you, it'll disappear. So I'm right above Vermilion City, right outside of Underground Tunnel. There's a little patch of water there. I was right above it on my Charizard. I see the Abra. I shit my pants because I had been grinding again for blue horses for like 2 hours, nothing. I was like, fuck it. I'll go over and I'll try to get a shiny Porygon. Found a fucking Pidgey instead. Luckily, I was grinding Pidgey, or chaining Pidgey, so I didn't break my combo. I was like, okay, well, I got another Pidgey, whatever. Okay, well, I'll go see if I can grab a Growlithe, shiny Growlithe. Okay. Pop down to Vermilion right as I'm about to turn my console off. I'm like, fuck it, it's getting late. Boom, shiny Abra. I freak out. I'm in the air, so I can't get my support trainer, so I'm like fumbling with controllers, like, what do I do? Oh my god, he's gonna teleport away. Pause my game, regroup. I'm over the water, so I just jump in the water. Luckily, his back is right to the edge of the pond there. I just jump in the water, and I hop, and I'm like, oh, dude, fucking ambush, bitch. Abra's mine. I run, boom. Just kidding, motherfucker. Jigglypuff fucking pops up. Fucking, I'm like, no, you
Blue balled.
fucking pink bitch. And luckily, fucking ran. Abra was still there. Got my Abra. Boom, no big deal. So it's a Kadabra now. And I'm going to, I wanted to trade it to Andrew to evolve it, Nick, but I don't trust him because he's also shiny hunting.
Yeah, he's a skeevy boy. He's going to keep that.
He's not going to give me my Alakazam back.
And what color is the shiny Abra?
Kind of just a pukey version
Ugh,
of
I hate that.
itself.
There's so many shiny versions that are just like, it'd be great if we just made this Pokemon a gross green color.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. It's just slightly paler yellow, and then instead of brown, it's got kind of it's still brown, but it's more like got a very vague pink tint to it. But the shiny Alakazam, all the brown, his armor is just fucking hot pink. So
That's cool.
He's gold and
that.
hot pink. Yeah, it's super cool.
That's very cool.
He's
With this
badass.
cool Saiyan armor, shoulders and stuff.
Yeah, it's seriously fucking badass. Let me pop this into the chat here. That's why I was so happy because my brother and I were going through. We were going through.
Hell yeah.
Dude, isn't that tight?
Yeah.
We were going through the list of all the original 151 because shiny Pokemon have gotten a lot cooler in recent years. But
Yeah, definitely. And dude, I can't remember. Do they actually sparkle in the overworld too?
yeah, they have a
Because
distinct.
that Abra looks indistinguishable from a regular Abra.
I would have never known.
Just at glance. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, they luckily they do they sparkle differently than like a size variant. They have big old shiny.
Well, yeah,
sparkle.
because that's more of like the way like that's the red and blue. But when I think of sparkles, I'm thinking of like the specular like light things that they do.
Yeah, they're basically really like cartoonish little sparkles. But so anyway, if you're listening to this and you want to trade for my shiny Carp and or a shiny Pidgey, You can hit me up on Twitter at @ejiggle. You can bug at Presh Till Death about it, or you can hit us up. The email, is feedback@consolecrusade.com, or you can hit EJ or Nick up at consolecrusade.com. Hit us all up. Bug us. Questions, comments, concerns, but mainly I'm looking for a trade partner. If you have something really cool like a shiny Mewtwo, I'll give you my Pidgey, no problem. Make that trade every day of the week.
Easy peasy.
Oh, man. So anyway, yeah, Pokemon. I love the shiny grind. I watch it on YouTube. I do it myself. And my console is about to die. I'm going to lose my chain. I didn't consider that. That's very bad. I'm going to turn it off now. Where's my battery at? 2%. Ooh, going to turn that off. Oh, Nick. It's like playing the lottery, except for instead of winning money that you can spend on real things, it's just imaginary, childish things from my past that I can't do anything with. And I'm perfectly happy with it.
Yeah, it's really funny. You were talking about how you've never liked the grind in a Pokemon game. And I think about that. I think about that a lot. That is recorded. That is immortalized on the internet now. Like, nobody's ever liked the grind in a Pokemon game. And what are you doing? You're just walking back and forth trying to find a different colored version of a horse. You idiot.
I know. I don't know what it is.
You know what? It makes you happy, and that is all I care about, and that's all that we should all care about, is just do the things that make you happy. I stopped playing Pokemon Let's Go like last week. That's fine. I had a great time with it, put in like 40 hours. It was a wonderful shot of nostalgia to get me through the tail end of November. So, great.
Now you're ready for Let's Go Pikachu 2. Let's go Pika V.
Yeah, they just actually, it's funny you say that, but they just trademarked that because that was the internal name for the Let's Go games, apparently.
Right.
I don't know, I was reading some rumor shit about that.
I feel like, not that the game is hard up for sales, but it would have been a lot better if they had distanced themselves from the Pokemon Go branding and had just stuck with some sort of standard naming convention, and this was just a remake of Pokemon Yellow. But they're stuck with the two version release thing, and they're trying to bring in the Pokemon Go players, which I think that was a huge fucking fail. I guess that's totally, I'm speaking out of my ass. It's anecdotal. I don't know a single player who picked this game up who only had played Pokemon Go before. It was like, in my eyes, a failed attempt to reach an audience that they were never going to reach.
Like you said, we're not exactly the targeted audience. Like, of course, we were going to be caught in the splash because you and I both love this generation of Pokemon in particular, but I haven't seen much of the marketing material. I don't know what's running on TV on kids networks where you see like a lot of big commercials. Like you watch sports, and like I will watch them with you sometimes. That's where we get like the big like Xbox One, PS4 exclusive kind of commercials, and seeing Red Dead Redemption commercials and Call of Duty and Battlefield 5 and all that kind of shit. But you're not going to see a Pokemon Let's Go commercial on ESPN or Sports Center. So
true.
Maybe this year Nintendo, or I guess this year and the year before, they've partnered up a lot with Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Like you saw there's that cartoon We Bare Bears. Pretty cute. Not like great. It's just like three bears hanging out. And it's got like a nice little art style, very kid friendly, but also just like a easy cartoon. But
that was my old band, dude. Three bears hanging out. It's a couple of hairy old dudes.
Fucking Josh. But there was a tie-in. They did a commercial with like that TV show doing Splatoon stuff. I'm like, that's cool.
Okay. I mean, good for them. Nintendo's finally branching out. I mean, remember how dismal the marketing for the Wii U was?
A double Yoshi explosion.
Oh my gosh. I like that very much. Sounds dirty.
Dude, it's a real commercial, and I remember it.
Exploshi my Yoshi, baby.
Yeah, so maybe they either pitched a completely different marketing kind of strategy, or they went with a different marketing team, or I don't know how much of that is done by Nintendo internally.
Right.
It's all kind of stuff that I find interesting, but that's the kind of stuff that never gets revealed or talked about. So it's like, well, it's all up to speculation, basically.
Nintendo is always playing catch up and sort of stuck in last generation, and just sort of they exhibit these out of date practices. But one thing they finally caught up with, seemingly, is they ditched their fucking Nintendo Creator Program for creators on YouTube.
And streaming on Twitch and other platforms too.
Yeah. And so, the old program, you had to be a partner. So you had to apply. You could only use certain clips from certain games. And it was such a bogus list of approved games, a bunch of shitty NES titles and like And then you split the profits. It was some crappy split. And it was just a bogus program to just gatekeep the kind of content that was out there. And for some reason, Nintendo, they clearly didn't value creator content where it's like, I get it on one hand because they can't control it and they can't harness like the focus of like what that marketing is. But every other company is okay with it. And it's important and it's part of the culture now. And Nintendo finally did away with it. And they're okay now with people using clips from their games, provided it's official, released titles, right? So it was funny that they mentioned that because it's the same week that Smash Bros. Leaked and everyone with a hacked Switch, you know, people putting Smash Bros. Footage up online and stuff.
Right.
But good for Nintendo. They launched the program in 2015.
Which is late. I mean, you think about the rise of streaming, and that seems like a very, with a company like Nintendo, they're very, you know, like you said, they're very conservative. They love to have as much control over their like content as possible. So of course it seemed like a very reactionary thing, but it's like you said though, Nintendo's also a little bit always a step behind. So the rise of Twitch probably, you know, got really big starting around like 2012, and it just has grown and grown and grown, of course. So by the time 2015 rolled around, Nintendo was like, well, I guess we can try and be like somewhat accommodating. That's like Nintendo being accommodating right there, basically saying, yeah, you know, you can make some of the money. That's them being, you know, oh, we're being so magnanimous with this. But I guess the money wasn't matching up. They weren't making enough off of the profit sharing. It was too much of a hassle to keep track of the accounting, as my guess. All these people that have to sign up and be approved by Nintendo. It's like, that's such a big hassle for what? I mean, you're inhibiting people from the prospect of even sharing their content with their followers, their viewers, and you're kind of inhibiting that kind of. It's so big now. Twitch is so big and streamers are so big that it can push games sales too, especially for small games. With like Nintendo games, I see 1 million people streaming Let's Go, like people like what you're doing. You know, you're shiny hunting. I'm sure you've watched people shiny hunt. You said you're watching videos of people doing that, so it's like people love that shit, and people. It's just smart from a marketing perspective to allow people to market your game for you.
See, my thoughts on this are kind of twofold because on one hand, so the old system, they would allow other creators to leave the Nintendo content up, of course, at Nintendo's discretion, but YouTube would flag, it was kind of a part of this other agreement, YouTube would flag a certain amount of Nintendo content, and then they would have to run Nintendo ads, and all the ad revenue would go to YouTube and Nintendo. So creators had no incentive to do anything anymore that included Nintendo content because they wouldn't make any money on those videos, no matter how successful they were. And so on one hand, that's shitty, but on the other hand, it's like, well, you're using their content. I know you're making your own content, but you're using your content to, you know, I don't agree with 100% split, like, or 100% takeaway. It should be split between the creator because it's not just uploaded gameplay footage. They are still creating content using these assets. So it's reasonable.
Sometimes, I mean, there are people that do just no commentary long plays where it's just like, well, do you want to watch someone beat the entirety of this NES game? Then yeah, I mean, it's a short game, watch it for an hour. So, I mean, that doesn't cut into their bottom line too much because what are you going to buy that on Wii U Virtual Console? Like, that's kind of an outdated platform and you're not like currently selling it. So it gets kind of iffy with that, with like the old games, but with like new games, then sure, that's tough to like monetize and like be in the up and up, you know, be like totally clean about that. And that's just a problem with YouTube as a platform in general and the way ad sharing and the revenue goes. It's just a whole big debacle. And I think Nintendo is just like, well, it's not worth it to us. So we're going to take a step back, be a little more hands off, especially with a game that is as shareable and as streamable as Smash Bros. Coming out. They probably have had this plan like in the lineup for the past 6 months.
Good. They should have been. And it makes a lot of sense. And I just don't see what the problem is with if they're just like, we're going to take 50% of the revenue of any video that features our content. I'm like, good. That should be exactly how it works. You deserve to make the money off of your product. And I know a lot of streamers and a lot of YouTube content creators will bitch about that. It's like, well, I put in, it's like, no, you are using their product. The only reason people are watching your videos is because you are streaming something that, 3 million people bought or whatever it was, right? They're not watching it just because you're a fucking charming guy. That's not true. They're watching
Right.
for the content that someone else created. So it stands the reason that you split that with them. It's good now that this is open to other people. That's great.
50-50 would be a very, very egregious split, though. Like, I think with the Creators Club, it was something like 30-70 or 20-80, where the people streaming were making
60%
the lion's share of it.
Of the revenue would go to creators.
Like, if a streamer would have made $200 streaming for a week or whatever, and instead they get $100 and Nintendo gets $100, who do you think that hurts more? You know, it hurts the streamer more, especially since Nintendo assumedly would be getting this cut from how many streamers are streaming Nintendo stuff? Thousands.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
I err more on the quote unquote content creator side on that. Obviously, I totally agree with you that it's Nintendo's IP and their property, and they're allowing people to stream it, which is more than is required of them, but it's more of like a social, like it's the way people view it. It's the optics of it.
Sure.
It's the same. It's similar with Atlas has been really weird about people streaming their games. Like I think Persona 5 had a thing where you couldn't stream past a certain chapter. Like it would turn off console capability to stream on PS4.
I'm okay with that though, because that's in a bid to like stop spoilers, and like I'm not against that. Protect your content. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just tough when a lot like you said, the vast majority of other companies don't really give a shit. Like you can stream whatever you want. If I wanted to hop on and stream the entirety of a Halo game, it's not like Microsoft's going to bust down my door, you know?
Again, that's because Nintendo in a lot of ways is coming, they're kind of stuck in the past. The reason we never got a Subspace Emissary sequel again is because Sakurai was I almost said Hideo Kojima. Fucking Sakurai was pissed that they got spoiled and leaked on the internet before Brawl's released fucking all those years ago. And it's like, what a shitty reason. Like that sucks.
Well, yeah, like I said though, that was 2008. That was still fairly early for like internet video.
I know.
Like widespread internet video. And the Wii was the Nintendo's first really like online capable console. The DS had the weird kind of Wi-Fi sort of connection, but it was very limited. But the Wii, you downloaded games on the Wii. So it's just like Nintendo kind of dipping their toe in the water. It's hard for a big company to make widespread changes like rapidly because it has to be approved by a million different people. So,
well, much bigger companies managed to do it in Microsoft and Sony.
Hardly. Sony, you're buying stores through a browser in 2006. They didn't actually launch their own store until about 2008 when Brawl came out. Like, you got to think about the timeline. Like, they're not, you look back at it and you're like, oh yeah, they were just always doing this right. That's not the case. Every company had their growing pains.
They are clearly ahead of the curve. Nintendo is clearly behind the curve. I don't know who's stuck in the middle there, but this is a step in the right direction. And I hope that they stick with this and they don't start just flagging people and they still get shitty bullshit takedown notices, because that stuff's still rampant.
Like this, we've been hearing about this also with like the shutting down of ROM sites, and we've had other ROM sites pull without even being contacted by Nintendo. It's like, well, yeah, obviously people like rattle, like they shake the chains about this is bad news for game preservation and stuff like that. It's like, well, no, because all the games that you're being dinged for are games that Nintendo actually sells on like Virtual Console. They're available. You're using Nintendo's brand to sell ads on your website. And of course you're going to get dinged for that eventually. Like that's just inevitable. That's not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
And I feel like similarly with the creator program, as far as a end user, as a person watching YouTube videos, the videos are still up. It's just that the creators weren't making money off of the soundtracks that they ripped illegally and shared on YouTube. You know, it's like, if Nintendo's going to make the money off of my views of that, then that's fine by me. I just want to listen to fucking Donkey Kong Country music.
I agree, but the problem for the hardcore YouTube community and for people who are invested in that ecosystem, and to an extent I am, I watch a lot of YouTube. The problem was that it de-incentivized all the creators that I watch from ever doing Nintendo content. Like the Game Chasers, for example, who I've been watching since 2012. I started doing some work for them last year, and they just completely stopped. They completely stopped. And I remember chatting with them about it, and they're like, there was zero reason for me to want to do this because we didn't accept it to the creator program. And so if I do make a Nintendo video, they're taking all my profit. Why put in the time to shoot and edit and upload this? And so now and that sucks for me as a consumer of this content. Where, I want them to make videos on the things I love. And when it comes to video games, I love Nintendo above all else. For some reason, I don't know why, but I do. against my better judgment.
Well, it goes to the point that you mentioned earlier, where you only love it. Like, are you only loving their content because they're doing Nintendo stuff, or are you gonna keep watching their stuff if they do something with Sega, like old school Sega or like old school Atari? You're probably not gonna give a shit about Atari, but
Fuck
like,
no.
you know, you like the guys, and that's what you're there for. So
To an extent.
they just can't ride the coattails of Nintendo, is what you're saying, basically.
I often won't watch if they do an episode on some old fucking Sega games, or a lot of times they literally do, those guys specifically do a ton of old Atari shit, old fucking Odyssey shit, old like Vectrex and
ZX
different,
Spectrum.
you know, yeah, and it's like I don't care about that. I want to see things about the consoles I owned and played and love, and a lot of those are Nintendo. And so now we'll see how things go. I hope it works for everybody. But one of the areas, Nick, that Nintendo is actually ahead of the curve on in a lot of ways, miniature consoles. They weren't the first, but they were the first to do it well. And
Right, yeah.
partly because that's brand recognition, name recognition, but also like nobody wants to play fucking Atari games, but they want to play Nintendo games.
Yeah. I've been saying it for years and years. The NES was the first console that had good games,
playable games, and
not a lot of good games.
Lot.
Like, and I will say this again. Also, there's maybe like 10 really good games on the NES. Everything else is like unplayable currently, or have like 100% objectively better versions of those games.
Yes,
like
I
no
agree.
one wants to play Legend of Zelda on NES. Just play Link to the Past. Just play Link's Awakening. They're just better versions of that game.
But it's the nostalgia is a huge factor.
Yeah. And I get that. Like, totally. Like, if you want to play that and experience it and like walk down memory lane, just don't drag me along because I don't have the memories and the lane sucks and it's not fun to walk on.
Right. Everyone's going the wrong way. It's too hot tar on the road.
Full of potholes they have to bomb to find a cave. Ugh.
Oh my God. Well, Nintendo did this and Sony followed suit. We talked about the PS Classic a few episodes ago. It came out, and as you put in our show notes here, you said, sucks dick, I guess. Big surprise. And that's about the reaction we anticipated we would have when inevitably it sucked and didn't sell.
We don't know if it's not going to sell. I never had any like prognostication or predictions about whether or not this was going to be a big holiday item or whatever. Initially, you're like $100, that's probably too much, but also, the game list is a bit too weird. Like, it's broad enough to capture a lot of different people's attentions. Like, it's got a little bit of everything for everyone.
Right.
To an extent, like if you had a PS1, you probably had one of these games at least. Or you knew about one of these games. You had a neighbor who had one of these games.
Probably
right?
one of these games.
At least one.
Probably close to one, given some of the games on this list that nobody played.
Right, but it's just really weird that they chose to put PAL versions of 8 of these games on there that run at 50 hertz on a 60 hertz display. Like, what are you doing? It just runs slow-mo.
Yeah.
And bad. The 2 fighting games on here are in 50 hertz.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And it's too expensive. And we talked about that, but people reviewing it are just destroying this machine.
It's too expensive for them to go to the ROM site that they're downloading all this stuff from and just get the ISOs from an NTSC version of fucking Tekken 3.
No, I'm saying the fucking console's too expensive.
Oh,
that's why it's.
Okay. I thought you were saying like internally.
It's too much money for a fucking mess of a system. And so, whatever. Sony, they did this with the Move controllers, and they did this with trying to rip off Smash Bros. And like they're always trying to bite Nintendo in some
Which is
way.
fine. Obviously, you want competition. You don't want Nintendo to be the only one making consoles. You got to have the Mega Drive and the Genesis to push Nintendo to fight back and make a Super Nintendo, So
But
whatever,
you gotta do it
that's
well.
fine. Well, yeah, you do have to do it well. Like, that's why I'm disappointed in this twofold. It's like, I didn't want this, and it's also not driving anyone to do it any better. If anything, it's going to poison the market and be like, well, we can't make one of those because look how poorly Sony did. It seems like only Nintendo has the special sauce.
Yeah.
Which, probably pretty valid. Like, I wouldn't be very interested in like a Saturn Classic or whatever the fuck Sega would do. They can't even do their Genesis Classic, right? They canceled that and pushed it back. And which, by all means, do that because At Games is not qualified to make that thing. They've tried many times to do little miniature versions of their old consoles with horrendous results. Right. It's someone that can actually emulate the platform properly.
Nick, I'm looking at our show notes and I realized I should have segued into something different because it would have been a better segue talking about revenue sharing. But
I didn't want to point it out, but you had 2 back-to-back killer segues right there. Bravo, sir.
you know what I was
Golf-
going to say?
golf-
The last
golf
one
clap.
worked out just fine. Yeah, that's why I say I'm getting on my segue game, because normally it's an awkward thing where it's like, okay, fuck this next thing, and I have to cut out the dead space and whatever. But yeah, I'm trying to, I'm trying to work on it, buddy.
EA cutting out the dead space.
Oh, rough. But going from Nintendo Creator Program revenue sharing to Steam changing its revenue sharing program would have been a much better segue. But alas, here we are.
Another good segue is to just acknowledge it completely and be like, this is what we're changing our topic to.
Well, boom. Guys, this is what we're changing our topic to. Steam changed its revenue sharing program. You explained this to me briefly because I didn't see this. Give me a rundown for the people here.
Well, as it was before, Steam would just take a 30% cut whole cloth of your sales.
From any developer, right?
Any developer, yeah. And well, with the caveat of it costs like $500, I think, to publish a game on Steam to like get it onto the platform.
Okay.
And that first $500 that you make in sales is yours, and then everything else after that is 30% cut.
Okay, very cool.
So now they're changing it to they take a 30% cut up to $10 million in sales. Then it switches over to a 25% cut, so they take a little bit less. And then after $20 million in sales, they take 20% cut. So it's rewarding the big sellers on the platform, which people are like, okay, that's fine, but we want you to promote the smaller stuff. We want to make it, discoverability would be nice, or, some way for like the curation programs, like they're there, but they don't work right. They're not good.
Yeah.
So it's more of a discoverability and a promotion kind of problem right now. Steam's more like, yeah, we're catered to the big sellers because that makes us the most money. And it's just like, okay, well, fine. But this came out on Friday, Steam's revenue sharing change. But now Epic Games, creators of Fortnite, maybe you've heard of it, are launching a sales platform where they'll be selling games. And they announced right out the bat, whole cloth, no matter what, we're taking just 12% of your sales.
And to quote you, Nick, Epic dunked Steam into the mantle of the earth.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like
Accurate.
Steam made this like big announcement, like, oh yeah, we're being so like friendly, we're trying to be friendly to developers. And Epic's like, fuck it, we're making so much money. Y'all do whatever you want. We'll just sell your shit.
Right.
And like even last, when was that? That was like a year ago. So Epic, also known for the Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine 4 is like a ubiquitous engine in the game development space.
Right.
And they changed it so they have an asset store built in. So if you're like, oh, I want to either demo a game or use these assets in a real game, you could buy a tree model from the asset store and put it in your game, or they'll have free assets. And that's why you'll see pre-made game, like a lot of these asset flipping videos, and people like mad about that. A lot of that is from Unreal, but it's from Unity also. But they have these asset stores so you can make your game without having to worry about creating all the things in it necessarily.
Right.
And they changed their sales on that. So people would make these assets and put it on the store, and then Epic would take a cut, and they changed their profit share revenue, the revenue model on that also last year, and made it more charitable, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
to the people who made the assets. And they're just like, oh, you get a bigger cut. And I think that Unreal Engine, they have like a couple different models for games made in their engine. So they'll do a profit sharing, or if you're a big company using an Unreal Engine 4 for your game, you can just pay them a lump sum and they won't take any more cuts from the game. But if you're like an indie developer, they'll just take like 10% of your profits. And they said if you're selling it through the Epic Game Store, they're not taking any of your profits from that. So it's just the 12% that you would normally give them for having your game in the store.
Got it. That's good. Creating more creator-friendly practices, it's better for everybody.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's Epic making a big statement saying, hey, big like publishers, do you want to put your games on the Epic Store and not Steam Store? You're going to make more money off of it. Everyone already has the Epic launcher installed because everyone's playing Fortnite. If you have a PC, like you probably have Fortnite installed. So
Right.
check it out.
Man, these companies still coming after Valve, thinking they're gonna give them a run for their money. And it's possible, but Steam is still ubiquitous. So,
And of course, like the AAA publishers would rather have you buy their game off of their own personal stores. Like EA has Origin, or Ubisoft has Uplay. Like they're trying to push you that way because they want that 100% as opposed to the 70% they're getting from Steam or on PS4 and Xbox One and Switch. Like they all have revenue sharing as well.
Right.
That's the way. That's the platforms are going to make their money.
Yeah. Last thing I want to chat about before we kind of get into some Smash Bros. Hype, because this is releasing, Nick, the day before Smash Bros. Releases.
Ow! Ooh!
So that's exciting. The last thing, and I don't want to really dive into this too much because I didn't want to on the last pod when we talked Game Awards, but we've gotten some of the Game Award leaks. We heard there was like either 9 or 12 titles that are supposed to be announced or touched on at Game Awards, and it's like that could be
it said
anything.
over 10. Yeah, and like last year, you got some. Actually, I don't remember what the biggest thing I remember from last year was Bayonetta 3 from Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else was kind of like the premier indies, like the people who made Firewatch their next game, or the people who made, God, what was that? There's like some awfully long name that was like someone who lived in the house down the way or whatever. They got like some shooter coming out. That was the Witchfire game. I just remember that trailer looking really cool. Or like, check it out. Here we're making another Payday thing that looks like Payday, but it's called GTFO. It's like, oh yeah, GTFO
right.
game. Huh. So I don't know. Like, there's no really indication of the size of how big these game announcements are going to be. Probably going to be middling, I would imagine. Maybe like one or two big splashy ones, but then like a lot of cool, like, oh, that's a cool looking little indie.
Well, so the list of things that we are rumored to, or potentially get here, Crash Team
and a lot
Racing.
Of this stuff is not necessarily attached to the Game Awards, but if stuff's leaking in this time frame, like coming up to the Game Awards, then it seems like, that of course. So Crash Team Racing remake, which I am so on board for. Crash made a comeback. Spyro made a comeback. They both did well. There's totally room in the market for a fun, cartoony, outlandish kart racer. Especially this late in the generation, Activision's not going to be... I wouldn't be surprised if there's no Call of Duty next year.
I would be. Have they ever missed a year in the last million years?
Not since they started with Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 in 2008, 2007.
Yeah, 10 years, dude.
So I'm just saying, like, they could do like, or at least I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a smaller kind of thing that was scope wise, just like, oh, here's another Call of Duty, still no story, still the same Blackout, but like new maps or just a story and like new maps and stuff like that.
Sure. We're also rumored to finally get this Prime trilogy that we've been talking about for fucking 2 years.
That'd be dope. I'd be dope.
Yeah,
I'd be super stoked for that. I mean, I bought it. Yeah, I misspoke. I'm sorry. You can edit that out if you want, but you're not going to. I bought Prime Trilogy on Wii U, and I started it with the intention of going through it all again because I only owned Prime 2 on the GameCube.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to play all three with the Wiimote because it seemed like a good way to play. But if there's a remake or like a remaster and they can get the controls feeling good, that'd be very nice.
Yeah, deal. Batman. Okay. Yeah, we're about due for another Batman game. Sure.
Yeah, a WB Montreal Batman game.
Okay.
So they're the ones that did Arkham Origins.
Sort of the most panned.
The black sheep of the family.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed Collection, which leaked on like a French retailer website or something.
Yeah, a few of these have also been like leaked by retailers.
Yeah. So Assassin's Creed for the Switch. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that it's probably not the Ezio collection because this also was shown to be on Xbox and PlayStation platforms. So it's not like they would have a new version of that again.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'd be okay with like so what is it going to be like?
Rogue and Black Flag, stuff like that around there.
I'd be really, honestly, those are the two I have played, two I beat, two I've played the most and enjoyed very much. I'd be perfectly happy with Black Flag on the Switch. It'll probably look and run like shit, but I'll give it a go.
Just like they always do.
Just like they always do. I bought a fucking 780 Ti back in 2013. Spent like $800 on it because I was like, I wanted fucking Black Flag to run better. I was like, do you see that stutter? Do you see that stutter?
It was not just the stutter. It was also the tearing. I remember that distinctly.
Yeah, the tearing. Oh, man.
That turned out to be like a hard drive problem and like all this kind of...
all sorts of weird things.
That is like endemic of the joy of PC gaming right there.
Yeah, well, honestly, I've completely moved away from PC gaming. Just it's a product of the time and the upkeep
It's way too expensive for the returns that you're getting in this current, like the way everything costs right now. It's not a good time to get into PC gaming.
No, and I've gotten to a point where I still think 30 frames per second is a fucking failure, and you shouldn't strive to lock your game at 60 because it's an infinitely better experience. But it's like, guess what?
Don't
I can't
lock it. Unlock it. We want infinite scalability.
No,
Get your
I-
144 hertz monitor, 240 hertz, 4K.
I want it to be consistent, whatever it is, which is why I like playing Horizon or playing Spider-Man. It's like, or even God of War, which I locked to 30 because I would prefer a consistent, constant 30 than 44 that dips to 30 and spikes to 60. And it's like, I don't want that. That's not fun. That's not enjoyable to look at. It doesn't feel right. But I just, it's a product of the time, and also because most of the games I'm playing are exclusive to the console I'm playing them on. A lot of PlayStation exclusives, for example, or Switch exclusives, or they're a game that makes sense on the Switch. And it's like, well, I could play it. This is probably better on the PC or on the PlayStation, but it's the fucking Switch.
You don't need a rip-roaring PC to run Dead Cells.
Yeah, no shit. Dragon Age 4 is rumored to be shown at the Game Awards this year.
They straight up said that they're showing Dragon Age 4.
Were they the ones who announced this? Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw someone on Twitter was talking about this today, and it seems interesting that, okay, Dragon Age 4 is going to be shown. Yeah, it's years and years away. Okay, is this Anthem
Maybe.
trouble? This is what Bethesda did with, they had Fallout 76 coming out, and so they showed that they had fucking oh god damn it, help me out, Nick. Why is my brain failing me? They showed Elder Scrolls 6, which again, it's fucking 10 years out, and then and Starfield, ease people into this terrifying new world.
The thing is there though, like, yeah, it's similar in that BioWare hasn't done a like multiplayer kind of games of service kind of game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, EA doesn't have that worry, and EA is the one calling the shots here. EA doesn't give a shit about BioWare. They've made that abundantly clear.
Right.
And they're only showing Dragon Age 4 because they want to show it.
All right. You don't think there's any internal worry there about the future of current developments?
No.
Okay.
I do not think that is necessarily saying Anthem's going to suck. That's why we're showing you the next thing. I think it's just part of the marketing strategy and this the beats, and they know, okay, yeah, Anthem is out in 3 months, 2 months.
Oh god, you think
that's out on February 22nd. That's one of those February dates, So obviously they need to start like hyping up the next thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon Age is a like spring 2019 game or a 2020 game. So you gotta start talking about that eventually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And they've got 2 teams. I'm assuming they've got 2 separate teams working on like each game. So whatever.
Dude, I'm stoked for the Game Awards. I honestly am, man. I'm gonna be up. I've had to rearrange all the things in my personal life because of work. But so Thursday now, Nick, I have a doctor's appointment at noon, and then I am free. So as soon as you're awake, we're gonna get some fucking Thai food. We're gonna watch the Game Awards by the light of the Christmas tree.
Dude, my Christmas tree is looking real good this year too.
Freaking stoked! Ah!
Yeah, it's gonna be some good stuff. Good stuff.
Dude, Smash Bros. Dude, we're 48 hours out from when we're recording this. A day away from when this goes up.
Right. So you mentioned Smash is leaked. Have you had anything spoiled for you? Or
Nothing.
that you would consider spoiled for you?
I have been completely spoiler free. I haven't watched any videos. I've barely watched the stuff Nintendo has officially released because I just want to go into Smash Bros as clean as possible and play a game that I love with people that I love. I don't need all the fucking shit in between. I just want to get there and get it done.
I haven't seen anything that I would like consider spoilers. It's mostly just people talking about, well, like the mechanics and like, oh, this character, with the, like they showed off in some of the directs, like, oh, you can charge in midair. So characters like Mewtwo, there's some interesting kind of stuff with like, oh, you can charge cancel when you land. It's like that kind of like really nitty gritty kind of stuff that I find interesting, but I also probably won't really interact with too much depending on who I'm trying to play as.
Right.
And then I saw a person kind of give their feedback and their opinion on the World of Light stuff, because they did show that trailer. It seemed like it was a bit of like a story kind of thing. And they said that they had watched all the trailers and they just sort of gave their opinion like, oh yeah, do not expect this to be like Subspace Emissary. They said that for a reason.
Yeah.
Don't let your hype levels get too much for that. And I'm only sharing that with you because I don't want you to have that expectation and have that experience tainted for you unduly.
I know. And you warned me in the last podcast.
I just don't like seeing you get hurt, man. I just
Well-
want you to enjoy it and have a good time and appreciate what it is for what it is, not for what you hoped it would be.
See, again, I understand the frustrations with Subspace, but I don't want another battle mode, strict battle mode that's just punctuated by cutscenes. I don't want that.
And I do agree. I would have liked the larger kind of exploratory platforming kind of sections. And I've seen multiple video essays kind of trying to break down whether or not that's actually good or if it was just like a huge novelty that we just remember because it was so distinct and like memorable. And
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I haven't played Brawl in a long time. I think the last time I played was with you at the beach, like maybe 3 years ago. So, and that was like just in between getting like setting up Project M. So it's just like, I don't think we touched even the Subspace. I think the last time I played Subspace was when you're living at the townhouses and we played it on the big screen, like projector TV.
Yeah.
You know? So that was a long time ago. That was like
2012.
2013.
Because we played a lot of Project M right before I moved to Eugene. And because that was
2015.
Was that 2015?
20,
When did Smash 4 come out?
It was end of 2014 was when Smash 4
Yeah.
came out. So it must have been like summer 2015.
Well, no, because we haven't touched Project M since Smash 4 came out. We were playing it in the lead up and we got super back into Smash and we got the Project M going and we go over to the zone over at Trevor's house fucking all the time and hook that up.
Yeah,
and,
you're probably right. I just remember it's all a blur, you know, obviously. So
because once it came out on 3DS, we never touched Project M again because we had
Okay.
our modern Smash, and then obviously Smash came out on Wii U.
yeah, you must have brought it to the beach
I
that
brought
year.
Melee to the beach.
Then. Oh, okay.
The first
You didn't
year
have-
or two we went.
I just don't know. Did you not have it set up in 2014 then? Because I remember playing Project M at the beach.
Maybe we did bring it. Maybe we did bring Project M to the beach, but it would have been before Smash 4
Or maybe
came
that
out.
could have been like one of the years that Jordan came and maybe he had it set up on his Wii.
I don't know. Time flies and we're
'Cause that's a
getting old.
possibility. Because there was another one I remember playing that was similar to Project M where it was a Brawl hack. It was called Brawl Plus. Or like Brawl Plus Plus. And it was just ridiculous. Like Yoshi had 3 jumps. Or 4 jumps, I guess. And,
Why?
like, it was the philosophy behind the design of the hack was to make everybody OP. So that was the balancing. Everyone is broken, so it's just fun.
I mean, Smash Bros is fun enough as it is. Do we really need?
I mean, why mod a game if you're not going to make it crazy? Why mod Skyrim if you're not going to put Thomas the Tank Engine as a dragon? You know,
Yeah. Okay.
like Macho Man sounds.
Fair enough.
Miss Elizabeth.
Jesus, dude. Friday, I work in the morning, Nick. So I can't be up crazy late Thursday. Friday is just going to be I'm just going to suffer. I have a feeling I'm going to have like a 5 a.m. shoot that day. It's going to be something stupid.
I'm sorry. I feel bad for you.
But luckily we were picking the game up at 9, not midnight. So that's nice. We can play for a couple hours. I can try to get to bed by I don't know. Oh God, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it already, but you know, that is what it is. It's gonna be good, man. I'm excited. I'm really excited to get you guys back down here and just do the Smash thing. You guys did that this summer. You, Trev, and Max came down, and that first day you guys were all here. All we did was play Smash, and I was like, dude, this is great. Doing this all over again. I couldn't do this every day, but I could do this every day this weekend.
Yeah, and it was nice. I had like just a good little rotating couch. Like we would do some 4-player, we would do some 1v1. Someone else would be like in the kitchen making some coffee or whatever. Just it's good times, man. Just spending a few hours smashing with your bros.
Dude, smashing my bros with some Smash Bros. I said that wrong. I don't know. Do I need to get you a bed before you come down here?
You are upset. You've been talking about this bed for, I swear to God, weeks. What is with you in offering me a bed?
Because I just feel like you sleep like shit.
I've slept like shit because it's like 100 degrees outside and you don't have AC, so the only way to cool it down is to open the window, and then I get woken up by just crazy cars because you live on the side of a highway, apparently.
Okay, it's going to be much cooler here because we don't really run the heater in the front room. We have a little space heater we run because our radiant ceiling heat fucking sucks. So you'll be nice and chilly by the time you go to bed.
Good God, that is perfect.
I assure
and I'll
you.
be all right. I'll be far down, away from the ceiling, unlike you. You know, you're brush your head up against that popcorn ceiling, so like you're getting the brunt of it. I'm gonna be on the ground like a peasant enjoying it.
I'll get you a fan too.
I got my air mattress. I'll be good to go. You got
Okay.
me the box fan. You're very accommodating. I appreciate
try to
you.
be.
You don't need to buy me a mattress. That is a weird offer.
Well, it's like, you know, You keep a twin mattress in the garage just for this very occasion. Someone comes over and it's like, well, get you at least a decent mattress to sleep on. You don't have to sleep on the fucking couch.
If you're gonna do anything, just like set me with like an Airbnb, you know, just really coddle me.
Okay.
I want to be pampered, you know. I deserve it.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Expense it, you know. Use your AX card.
Right? Well, Amex action, baby. Oh, man. Well, I feel like there's not a lot to say about Smash Bros. Other than, dude, it comes out and we're stoked for it. Because, again, I'm clean on that game right now. Not a lot's gone in my brain about it.
I will say, I am a bad boy, and I did listen to pretty much every single new track. Not like any of the Smash Bros. Like story mode tracks. They're all just variations of Lifelight or whatever. But like, there's some good new songs, man.
Dude,
I'm hyped.
That is such a Nick thing. I cheated and I listened to the soundtrack. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, all those fucking channels got shut down. Nintendo copyright striked them all. So,
guess who just hit me up? Hit us up.
what's up?
Old Dre Chavez was like, we podding tonight? Sorry, buddy. You were at work and we had to get this done as ASAP as possible.
Well, and if he listens to this, then he'll know that, like, I tried telling you, man. We started at like 5:45.
But
And
by the time you would have
He
got
was
home
getting
from
off work
work
at 6.
it was 6:30, set up, figuring out. You should have seen the last time, or the only time we did a remote pod together, just Dre and I, trying to get him just to grasp the concept of the countdown was a real challenge. And it didn't even work out that well. It was a real nightmare to edit.
To be fair, you don't have a metronome, and you don't have my skill in explaining how things work. All right, I'm very good. I'm a good teacher.
I'm
all right?
very
I'm the best.
articulate. I
can enunciate with exceptional skill.
I can't. I'm fucking mushmouth. I stutter.
Well, maybe we can do like a little test pod. You know, do like a 10-minute recording with Andrew, just to see how it lines up and how it matches up, and if we can get the sound and the talking good.
I'm down to do that while I eat dinner, but if we're gonna get this up tomorrow morning, like I said, I gotta fucking just edit all night, and it's already getting late. So we can do that. I'll get my dinner. You can get Andrew on here, and we'll chat with him. We'll explain to him, Dre, we're so sorry, but it's just the way it had to be.
Yeah, we'll
today.
butter him up with pleasantries.
You know, I wish he would come down this weekend. That fucker, he's got Blazer game or something. I don't know. But guys, this is the Console Crusade podcast. Like I said, hit us up on the old social media at console_crusade. I'm Addy Jiggle. This is Precious Death. Hit us up. Feedback at consolecrusade.com. Questions, comments, concerns. Do we have any listener mail that I need to dive into right now?
I haven't seen anything.
Before we cut, you didn't see anything? Okay. Fair enough.
You could change that by emailing us or tweeting at us or just, you know, interacting with us in general. Find our email addresses, our personal ones. Figure out my phone number. Hack my
don't do that.
ISP.
Don't do that.
Steal my identity.
That's a bad idea. You're asking people for that now. It's going to happen.
Come at me.
Ciao, out of here, bro.
Bippity boppity boo.
Damn it.